Or that thick bass line.
Thick bass line. All right. Hello and welcome to Wi-Fi Optional, the weekly tech show where we talk tech so you don't have to. This is episode 26, recorded Monday, May 23rd, 2016. My name is Rakshan Gujaratna, and with me is Mr. Jason Mwadakot. Hi, Jason.
Hello, sir. Excited
Hey,
to talk some Google news
Google
today.
Yes, Google News. Hey, the cameras are auto switching today. It's a good day. However, our lower thirds are missing now.
One step at a time.
One step at a time. So hopefully some of the new products that they announced at Google I/O will help the situation here. Hopefully. So anyway, the big news from Google I/O is they're revamping everything. New applications coming out, new devices, new operating system, Android N's coming out. There's I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, yes, there's a lot of bells and whistles and features under the hood, but not anything major for cosmetic differences. The icons are probably going to be different and stuff. I know they did add the close all option. So when you look up all of the open applications, so you can kill everything with just one shot, but a lot of bells and whistles under the hood, unless you've heard different.
Yeah. No, it's kind of interesting, not getting off topic before we get started here, but it's kind of the same route that iOS has gone, where they both race to throw as many features as possible into their operating system, and now they're both in the mode of kind of slimming down and making them more I don't want to say modular, but I guess that's the way to say it, where it's just kind of a blank slate, and you add whatever you need into it. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, they're making it better and improving, but they're just really not adding new things, like you said, just kind of honing what they already have.
Right, and then with some of the hardware changes and new hardware that's coming out, Project Air is kicking off, and also the new Google Home product that's coming out. So it looks like they've got a whole bunch of software and hardware features that they're going to try and mesh in together to make it one big seamless ecosystem, which actually is pretty cool.
Yep.
If they can make it work.
If
yeah, seamlessly. So we have a whole bunch of Google I/O related stories. Actually, Google Home probably being the biggest one. Do we want to touch base really quick with the short stories, or do we want to jump right into Google I/O?
We can ping some of this news and see what other things have kind of been on the docket for the week, and then get into our hopefully long short discussion about our
Google
love
I/O.
for
Yep.
Google I/O and Google Home.
Let's do this.
First article is going back to our ongoing trend of ransomware. ESET, a company popular for the line of antivirus and security products, on Wednesday announced that it had fashioned a free tool that victims of all variants of the TeslaCrypt ransomware can use to unlock the affected files. After the criminal gang behind the TeslaCrypt recently abandoned support for the malicious software, and ESET, an analyst, contacted the group anonymously using the channel TeslaCrypt's operator offered to ransomware victims, and asked for a universal master decryption key. And the company said, ESET surprised that the operator made it public, while the TeslaCrypt posse decided to share the master decryption key to its software. It made millions of dollars, or before they shared it, if they made millions of dollars, unknown. While it's possible that they felt bad for the damages done, another possible the reason is that they wanted to start fresh with the new code base, says Lisa Myers, a security researcher with ESET. Long story short, in this article, not to keep going on with it, but is this the end of ransomware, or, like they said in the article, is this them kind of moving on to version 2.0?
I think they're moving on to version 2.0. The one thing that I did grab is these guys that are running the ransomwares, they run a well-oiled machine for something that is basically an extortion mechanism. There are some colleagues of mine that actually purposely infected one of their virtual machines with a piece of ransomware, and they wanted to see what kind of mechanism, what hoops they have to jump through to kind of get it to work. And they did get a hold of them, and the ransom was something very nominal, like $15 or $20. So they wanted to use that, so they bought a bunch of Bitcoins, and they tried to pay it, and it wouldn't work. So then they called the 800 number for the ransomware company and said, hey, this doesn't work. Well, they were directed to a website, which was actually a support website for the ransomware company. So they had to open a ticket with the ransomware support group that went in and looked and said, oh, hey, this is why your Bitcoins don't work. Oh, hold on a second. Let me fix that. So the long and short of it is for a questionable, shady organization and a shady business practice, they sure know how to run this operation real well. So, which is why I'm leaning towards this is probably going to be version 2.0. They've already gone through the gamut. Version 1.0, they're like, all right, fine, we'll give this to you. We're going to come back, and it's going to be bigger and better.
That's a hilarious story, but no, I agree. I don't think we don't see the end of this problem before it gets worse. And if they're as brazen as that, where they set up like a Fortune 500 company and have, a full tech support line and a CFO running it, and who else knows what, I think that might be a little interesting going forward here. So we'll have to see what transpires from all these ransomware cases.
We'll have to see, and if it gets to that, I want stock options. Next story, Oculus Rift update accidentally makes privacy easier. Last Friday, Oculus released a software update blocking Revive, a piece of software that allows users to port Rift games they bought from the Oculus Rift store to HTC's Vive headset. However, it seems Oculus's intervention may have backfired with an update to Revive, not only allowing users to port titles again, but also bypass the Rift's DRM in the process, opening the door to easier VR privacy. Basically, the gist of the story is now we're getting into, now with virtual reality becoming more and more prevalent, we're getting into the whole DRM, copyright management, and how we're going to handle the software that you bought for one platform. How are you going to block it from going to the other platform? So this, to me, kind of opens up another Pandora's box of legal affairs, and I'm sure the lawyers they're sitting there with bated breath, waiting to see what's going to be the next.
Yeah, and this isn't the only case. It didn't make our top stories, but one of the stories from this week was how one of the a creator on YouTube, he actually makes music videos. He was kind of parodied in a Family Guy episode, and Fox recently put that up, and the DRM from that, or their copyright management basically on YouTube, goes, hey, Fox has claims this and made the original creator, since it was so close to it, take down his original creation. And it's just basically, long story short, I'm getting at is all of these DRM things and protection things. It seems like we're almost growing too fast as a technology wise to kind of keep up with it, and this is just another case of VR being not even to where it is yet, and they're already having troubles with writing code for DRM and keeping their properties secure, and it really hasn't hit the ground running yet. So I guess we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, we'll certainly have to see.
Third story
pans out.
Yeah, exactly. Third story is reaching back into our Google I/O storyline a little bit. It's Aria actually coming into fruition. If you don't know, kind of going back, Aria is the Google's what they left behind from when they sold off of part of Motorola to Lenovo a while back. But on the last day of I/O, Google's finally given us some firm details on when it will be when Aria will be released, and it is the very real project, or what can I read today, or when it will release its very real project Aria module phone. Developer edition running Android with a 5.3 screen is shipping this fall, while a consumer version of the phone will be available sometime in 2017. To get your hands on devices here, you'll have to head over to ATAP's dedicated area or ARIA website and fill out the form indicating what type of module you'd like to develop for the phone. ARIA has come a long way since first demoed back in the at I/O in 2014. In fact, more than 30 people now are using ARIA phones at Google as their primary device, according to Wired. Google has also decided to spin out ARIA as another division inside of Google, or Alphabet, effectively graduating the project is its to its indicated its real business and serious initiatives for the company. So the upcoming developer kit that the RA team has been working on is a new set of technologies. So long story short, this is, we've talked about this, I think this was 2 years ago, going back when they first talked about this, when they bought Motorola. And now, we're actually starting to see it kind of actually become a thing. And you can actually apply for and become a developer. And hopefully by 2017 we'll see these things hit the market. And I guess I'm kind of myself skeptical of this, just for the fact that I know how fast phone technologies are changing, and having new phones out there always makes you want to upgrade, but this would basically seem like you're on a constant upgrade cycle and not able to take a break. The next camera could come out, or the next this would come out, and you're constantly upgrading your phone. So I see the appeal in it, but I also just don't I just don't know if it's going to be the new next greatest thing.
Yeah, and the other thing is, they've at least indicated right now that this is only in the developer edition, and the things more than likely will change when it comes to the actual retail or consumer version. But right now, the CPU and the battery and display, as a matter of fact, are all one main component. You cannot swap them. So to me, at least, if I'm going to do an upgrade, some of the key things that I want to upgrade would be the CPU, possibly the screen for higher resolution, and then maybe battery life. But battery, I'm not too overly concerned. But at least the CPU is probably one of my biggest concerns. So at this juncture, you can't really change it. So it kind of defeats the purpose of having it. Well, okay, great. So now you can get a higher megapixel camera. I can swap it in. But what I can see is, like you said, you're in a constant upgrade cycle. So would something like a buyback model make sense for them? Hey, you buy this kit with whatever components you want. You can build your own phone. Every 12 months or so, you will buy your old camera for a tenth of the price, or 20th, whatever the cost may be, and we'll get you a new one. And that will be one. I can also see it being, somebody like me, I wouldn't mind having two camera modules, one with a different f-stop. Say if I wanted to do macro shots or something like that, I can quick swap it out, take the shot, put the other one back in. I can probably see that happening. But yeah, like you said, normal phones, you run them for, at least 2 years or so. But this, at the rate things are improving, you're always willing, you're going to have to start shoving some money down.
And I think you hit it on the head. I think camera, actually interacting peripherals would be the only thing that would be appealing to me. I mean, what the newest version of Bluetooth, you're gonna be able to upgrade that, or you're gonna be able to upgrade to, something with NFC different. I mean, that stuff doesn't seem, like it's gonna make you rush out, want to buy one of these things. But not having the battery, when I think things that usually come out with different phones is going to be screen size, battery life, and four things: processor and camera. I mean, those are basically the four things to think of. Well, three of those things are knocked out by not, being already integrated into the, other than the camera, what really appeals to me, kind of like you said, to make this worthwhile. But I guess we'll see. This is just the developer version. This is a pre-release version. The full couple of years might be something completely different and worthwhile.
Yeah, might be a different story. Rolling on with Allo and Duo, Google finally encrypts conversations end to end. Allo and Duo are actually two new products that Google talked about on Google I/O last week. We'll touch base on that here shortly. But basically, the messaging service Allo, they announced at the I/O conference, is designed to allow a new style of communication in which a clever bot listens in on your conversations and offers helpful suggestions and services. But a different feature is just as significant. One that's designed to let no one listen on your conversations at all, not Google, not any hacker or eavesdropper, not even an FBI agent with a warrant. When it launches this summer, Allo will offer an incognito mode, just like Chrome, that switches on an end-to-end encryption system known as Signal, designed by privacy-focused nonprofit Open Whisper Systems. In that incognito mode, only the two phones at either end of a conversation will possess the secret key necessary to decrypt the messages. Google's new video calling app Duo will also use end-to-end encryption too. The result is a pair of tools that are resistant to government surveillance. Google couldn't, in theory, help law enforcement decipher an incognito Allo conversation or Duo call, even if it wanted to. And in the wake of Apple's landmark fight with the FBI over the encrypted iPhone, the move represents another step in Silicon Valley's shift towards user-controlled encryption in defiance of law enforcement. We kind of saw this happening. I think WhatsApp started doing it. Facebook's already doing it. And where now they're basically throwing their hands up, like we said in the past, saying, sorry, can't do anything. Everything's encrypted. We may have lost Jason. I'm going to let Jason get back. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see where the legal aspect of this is going to lie. Because now with a system that is fully encrypted, even the manufacturer of the product can intercept. So does that, where does that fall? If at some point in time law enforcement wants to look at your conversations or potential threats or whatever, what have you, they would not be able to do that anymore. So that kind of puts the legal side of it kind of in a pickle. So we'll have to watch and see how this pans out. I know this is going to be a very hot button item for the legal side of it, because I know, especially with the Apple lawsuit, they were hot and heavy. They wanted the information. So with this and more and more applications and more companies coming out saying we can't really do anything, it's encrypted. Sorry, tough luck. That's going to be very interesting to find out. And I believe Jason may be back. You there, Jason? Yeah, possibly not. All right. Moving on to the next story. Google plans to bring password-free logins to Android apps by year-end. This is another story that came out of Google I/O. Google plans to eliminate passwords in favor of systems that take into account a combination of signals like your typing patterns, your walking patterns, your current location, and more. Will be available to Android developers by year-end. Assuming all goes well in testing this year, in an under-the-radar announcement Friday afternoon at Google I/O Developer Conference, the head of Google's research unit, ATAP, Advanced Technology and Projects, Daniel Kaufman, offered a brief update regarding the status of Project Abacus, the name of a system that opts for biometric over two-factor authentication. As you may recall, Project Abacus was first introduced at Google I/O last year, where it was described as an ambitious plan to move the burden of passwords and PINs from the user to the device. Today's secure logins, like those used by banks or an enterprise environment, will often require more than just a username and password. They tend to also require entry of a unique PIN, which is generally sent to your phone via SMS or two-factor authentication. This is commonly referred to as two-factor, and it often combines something your password, with something you have in your possession, like your phone. With Project Abacus, users would instead unlock devices or sign into applications based on a cumulative trust score. The score could be calculated using a variety of factors, including your typing patterns, current location, speed and voice patterns, facial recognition, and other things. Google has already implemented similar technology on Android devices called Smart Lock, which lets you automatically unlock your device when you're in a trusted location, have a trusted Bluetooth device connected, when you're carrying your device, or when the device recognizes your face. So essentially, they are trying to come up with another way of protecting your device. So passwords worked for a while, no longer. Two-factor authentication still works, but they're also looking ahead to see, hey, we have all these other devices that are integrating with this. What can we do? How can we make it more secure and easier for people to use? And I see Jason is back online, so.
Yeah. sorry, I missed out on the Allo conversation. I have some really good points too. I guess that's for another. We'll leave that for the end when we get back to IO.
Yeah,
But
we'll circle back.
no, the abacus thing is interesting. I have a small anecdote to say about this one. So there's an app for jailbroken iPhones called I Caught You. What this allows you to do is after like 2 or 3 failed attempts, it takes a picture of your phone and emails it to you saying, hey, this individual that I took a picture of is trying to get in your phone, doesn't know who it is. Well, I never ever once had it used when I was stolen, but I've had it used many times when I've had 1 or 2 many adult beverages and can't seem to enter my own password. So my question is, looking at their factors of using this to unlock things, you're looking at voice patterns, facial recognition, your ability to calculate and do things. I just see this as being a nightmare for anybody that is not of 100% sound mind to try to access their device and getting locked out. So that's just my little anecdote. But other than that, it's really interesting. I mean, two-factor, I love two-factor. I mean, it's a pain in the butt, but I always feel better when I get a text sent to my phone or get an email sent to me with a lock code, just knowing that that's just another step that somebody else has to take. But I think there's a fine line with these biometric and other kind of locks that it's almost going too far. And I know we've talked about it before. Sometimes the more security, the more doors you open, the more easy it is to break. I guess I don't like the location-based things and things like that. It seems like that's very, very hackable, but I guess that's just me.
No, I'm with you on that. I the more I read this story, I feel like there's a key underlying component that we're missing from this story. I get where they're going with it, but to me, they're basically building a haystack of information on the user. Essentially, it's almost like they're starting to learn what kind of patterns and habits you get into, and then they're going to use that information and feed that information to some kind of algorithm, and then it's going to come up and say, okay, this person's trying to do this action based on the information from this haystack and what the algorithm says. Yeah, this kind of looks like the owner, so I'm going to let them through. To me, that kind of is more guesswork than anything. I know they
exactly.
I'm sure that's why I keep thinking that there's probably another key component that we're missing in this article. But like you said, yeah, we almost do need two-factor authentication, especially this day and age. Everybody's got a phone, and it's just simple enough to do. I use Google two-factor authentication on just about everything: Google, Amazon, Facebook, everything. And it's again, just building this haystack, and then they're capturing all this information, and it only, what are you going to do with this information? How are you going to make sure that this information stays in a spot, or is only going to be used for certain purposes and not for marketing or ad revenue for that matter? So it's kind of a scary big gray cloud over that, but
Skynet's coming for us.
Yeah, we'll have to kind of watch this story and see where things go. I mean, I'm sure we'll find out here soon as different services start rolling out. But yeah, the next big story is actually Google I/O. What do you think, Jason? I know you listened to all the keynotes and you watched it.
Yeah, lots of interesting things. Circling back to the Allo thing, the point that I could try to drop in there was that's an interesting idea and kind of something that everybody's doing in Apple or Google kind of had to follow suit. It's just odd that they rolled out the whole new platform to develop it and didn't roll it into Hangouts or didn't roll it into something that they already had built. I think I pulled from there, but lots of new things from Android Wear all the way down to the big announcement of their Amazon Echo Killer, Google Home, which was really interesting. I know we both went back and forth with that this week, talking about. Well, we talked about last week how we wanted it to be, and it kind of turned out to be exactly what we hoped for. Well, what they planned it to be, I guess you could say. But yeah, I mean the basic things from Google, updates to apps, updates to operating systems, and the one thing tied to Google Home is their addition, or their, I guess, their tweaking of kind of Google search and their Siri of things, or Google Assistant, and how it can, actively think and things. So lots of good information here.
Yeah, I do like their there are some key things that I kind of like. Um, from what I heard, and I don't think there's any way to confirm this. Google's not going to confirm it, but um, some of the blogs and some of the brouhaha on the internet is that the reason that Duo and Allo came to be is that there were so many hoops and hurdles that you had to jump through to get Hangouts to work the way you wanted. You and I, we know this firsthand. So features don't work, some features do. We're going through that right now. Now the cameras don't switch since you left and came back, so I have to manually switch it. Lower threshold. So Google basically said, you know what, enough is enough. We're going to start fresh, and this is going to be a whole new platform, whole new program. Does the same thing, but we'll just push Hangouts to the back burner for now. People are still going to be able to use it. It's still going to be an app. But I have a feeling that Hangouts is probably going to get replaced here eventually with, Duo and Allo. Plus, it kind of gave them the opportunity to step in and say, you know what, we don't want to be in the same boat as Apple in front of it as far as lawsuit goes. If something were to happen, we need to come up with some way to protect us and the user. So let's rebuild the code. We'll throw some encryption in, or I shouldn't say throw some. We'll encrypt the conversation, so that kind of protects everybody. It kind of have them to give them the opportunity to get a fresh start. And as far as the Google Home goes, if the video that they had, which we'll post on the show notes, if that is what it ends up being, as far as capabilities goes, I'm sold. I mean, I'll certainly buy that. I'm already invested into the ecosystem pretty heavily, and I know you have as well. And this just meshes in extremely seamlessly. The other thing that I do like about it, and there's a video where they compared some of the features on Google Home with the Amazon Echo. Mind you, some of the features on the Google Home is actually available on your handset if you have Google Now, where you can, it has the ability to continue on a conversation. So you can ask questions like, what time is the Avengers movie playing today? And it'll say, oh, it's at 3:15, 5:30, and 4:19. What about tomorrow? And then it would immediately pick up and say, oh, you're still talking about the Avengers movie? Let me look that up. Which the Amazon Echo is not able to do that. You can actually do that right now on your phone. And also they talked about integrating all these other smart switches and all these different home automation devices into this, which is actually going to be cool.
Yeah, and that's. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
I was going to say that's what intrigued both of us with it is we talked about last week. We talked about the Echo, and when they were talking about this Google Home product is the Amazon ecosystem is very dumb and very excuse me. You can't even use a shopping app that's not Amazon's. And this way, it seems like Google's like, here's the platform, build on it, do what you want to do with it. Here's some cool things we already built in with Chromecast and Chromecast audios and all the other features they already have. But like you said, it's very, very just here's a base, build on it. Whatever wants to work with us, you can use it to work with it and kind of go from there. So really, really cool. And like you said, I was on the fence of getting a Echo, and now I'm definitely going to be getting a home product whenever it comes out.
Yeah, and then they also own the Nest product line, so that was perfect. They can integrate right into the Nest product line and
drop cams and all that stuff.
Yeah, and GE makes their the Zigbee product line. That's a bunch of smart switches, and the Wemo line. I'm sure you'll be able to integrate to this. So the possibilities, it's just crazy. I'm just hoping that it would come out the way that they envision in the ad. And then the other thing that I kind of am interested in is the Android Instant Apps feature, where you don't have to install an entire app in order to take advantage of something, which for the app developer, there's a little bit of work because basically you have to break the app down and turn it into a modular format. So then, like in a shopping site, if there's an ad, I can hit buy now, and it would query into the app, and it would only load that particular purchase module and bring it onto your screen without me having to download and install that app. So it would still give the user access to certain components of the app without actually having the app, which actually I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, there's like you said, other than some of those key features, as far as something brand spanking new, I didn't really see much except for innovations. They're still looking for people to come up with a name for the next Android operating system, which is going to be Android N. So get your names in.
Yeah, and the last thing that we kind of touched on was them talking about Android Wear, and the only reason I want to touch on this is because I thought this was kind of a long time coming. But the biggest development with that is that devices are going to be able to hook directly, basically be autonomous without a phone, and I think that's kind of the way they had to go the whole time. But it just the biggest thing with those is that just kills battery. I mean, the biggest thing, having a radio connection of any sort or GPS of any sort and things like that, is just battery life. So I hope that they address that, because right now the watch and the fitness band status is still not great for making it a couple days or 3 days or something like that. I know I have a Loop, which doesn't do much other than time and tell me my steps and a few other things, and that'll make it a week, or 5 days. But to have something that actually gives you notifications and all that stuff, it'd be nice to have that last a week as well. But hopefully they can get that the battery situation figured out with those. But yeah, it was an interesting IO overall. Being that the most interesting thing is maybe we sit outside and get sunburned for 3 hours in the California sun, but other than that, I'm just really looking forward to the Google Home coming out and seeing what we can do with that. So
in case somebody is interested, home.google.com is where you can actually sign up. They're not for sale yet, but you can actually get notified as soon as they're available.
What's your take on what do you think the price point of that's going to be?
The rumor mill on the internet says it's going to be fairly comparable to the Amazon Echo, right around the $199 mark. There's also another set of rumors that are floating around saying that if you pre-order it, which Google has done in the past, if you pre-order it, you're probably going to either get like a $20, $30 price break, or a $20, $30 credit
App Store purchase,
right, towards the Google App Store. Both are fairly credible, but at the $199 price, I don't think it's overpriced. It's very comparable to the Amazon Echo. The other thing that I can see happening is this is a huge threat to the Amazon Echo ecosystem. As soon as this gets launched, I can see the Amazon Echo taking somewhat of a price drop, at least for a short time. Just to at least stay.
Yeah, and I agree that 200 price point is kind of good, but I think I really got interested in the Echo when they came out with the Dot at the $90 range, on the sub 100. I think Google's always been about that value add and being cheaper. I mean, you think of like the Nexus line of phones coming out and being a $300 phone when an iPhone costs $600. Yeah, or the Chromecast or Chromebooks or anything. They're always adding. My gut feeling is I think they go sub 100. I think they go 99.99 with it just to get it out there. Because I mean, you think of all the data and the extra places they'd get into with grandma and grandpa and all these things that they normally wouldn't with tablets or Chromebooks. I think if they go low, they're going to really get some good adoption. So my guess is the $100 mark. So I guess we'll write it down and see what happens when it comes.
Well, and you have a very good point there at the sub $100 range. If they do push it out at 99, people are going to be more apt to buy possibly even multiples of these. If they work the way they need to. $200.
They did it at the Chromecast too. Instead of two for 35 a piece, you got two for 60 or something like
60
that.
60 or 50 or something like that. Yeah. So they can certainly come up with something like that. And the other thing with this Google Home, you can actually change the bottom cover to match the paint scheme of your room.
It reminded me of a air freshener too when I first saw it or something.
What was that?
It reminded me of like an air freshener when they changed the colors on
That's
the bottom.
exactly what everybody's saying. Everybody's saying
I
it
know.
reminds them of a Glade air freshener.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So no,
But
that's a very good point. So you can customize it so you could have,
multiple devices, yeah, or
have one in your bathroom and have one in
yeah, and then from a marketing perspective, I mean, they can bundle it with a Nest if they want to. There's so many things they can do, but yeah, I'm certainly excited to see when they come out and what kind of a price point. And
the last thing I want to bring up with this, did you see in the IO when they tipped there for kind of creating this vertical, I guess, of the home assistants? I thought that was kind of interesting. They kind of thanked Amazon for coming out with the Echo and creating a path for them to take. So that was kind of interesting, but also kind of, it seemed to me like, well, thanks for opening up, and now we're going to do it better and steal it from you.
well, hey, competition. You got to have competition that brings the price
Exactly.
down, right? And what do they say? Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, right? So
Exactly.
but yeah, it's going to be an interesting summer. We'll see. But hopefully, we'll get to know a little more of these. Hopefully, we'll actually get to try some of these out in real time, and then we can report back on the show. But I think we've taken up enough time. We've already pushed the 30-minute mark, I believe. But yeah, that's actually our show for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you're listening to us, or if you did listen to us, thank you very much for taking time. Don't forget to subscribe to the show, and if you do like it, share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can always find us on Twitter. We are at Wi-Fi Optional. Same with Facebook, facebook.com Wi-Fi Optional. You can also find us on iTunes. If you can, find us on iTunes or on your favorite podcatcher. rss.wifioptional.com is our feed. Thank you to Purple Planet for providing the music, which I am going to play here shortly. And also, thank you very much again for listening. And from myself, hot mic. For myself, Rukshan, and Jason, thank you very much again for listening, and we'll see you again next week.
Bye-bye.